Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secureteam. I want to start off today's video with a simple question for any of you guys who live in or around the state of Oregon, specifically Southern Oregon. And the reason I ask is that apparently there have been a lot of people who are stating point blank something weird is going on, something is not right. And so this was first brought to my attention by the personal website and blog of that of Mrs. Linda Moulton Howell. Now, if that name sounds familiar, well, it should, because she has been a staple in the UFO research community for years now. Linda is an investigative journalist here in America and an Emmy Award winner for her work as a ufologist and an advocate for the disclosure movement. And so she runs a website called Earth Files, and this past week she has been talking about this happening, or what is not happening rather, in Southern Oregon, where she has been talking about how she's been receiving a bunch of worried emails from viewers all over the state that something is significantly wrong in a number of these communities, ranging from the absence of insects and pollinators to missing birds. And she's been doing a good job of keeping it updated with all of these different emails from people. I'm going to read you one in particular from a man who has lived in southwestern Oregon's Rogue Valley, 11 miles north of Medford, for 30 years. And as she says right here in her article, quote, what he describes in his email are such striking changes around him that he now wonders if a large seismic event is about to happen, and the birds at least know in advance. And so the man writes, quote, I live on 20 acres on the tip of a mountain that overlooks the entire Rogue Valley. I live amongst a vast array of wildlife, and I pay particular attention to the avian population. Normally, the vultures arrive back in Rogue Valley around the first week in March, but this year, the vultures started returning the first week in February in small numbers. But it was still significant because I'd never seen that before in the nearly 30 years I've lived here. My hummingbirds are legion, and I feed them with up to 4 large feeders. The Anna hummingbirds stay all through the winter, while their smaller brethren return from the south arrive about the same time as the vultures. Not only have the smaller hummingbirds not returned yet, but all of a sudden, my huge population of Anna hummingbirds have vanished completely, and I haven't had to fill a single feeder in at least a full week. But what has really got my attention is the fact that the swallows have not yet returned, and that, more than any other barometer, tells me something is very, very wrong. And so the question is, are we about to experience a severe national disaster? While science has never recognized proof of strange animal behavior prior to a major natural disaster, there has been ample anecdotal input from observers like myself that animals can detect that such is about to happen. And so that is just one of the emails that Mrs. Howell has received. She recently updated the page, speaking of another person living in Coos Bay, Oregon on the coast, stating that they also usually have lots of hummingbirds, and that there, quote, hasn't been even one hummingbird in the past week. Saying further that they even took the feeders down that they feed them with, cleaned them out, and made fresh food, but nothing. Not one single hummingbird. And so again, I ask you guys, any of you who live near Oregon or California, Washington, have you experienced something similar? And have you detected a certain change in the local wildlife population? Have birds been acting differently? Have you noticed a disappearance in insect life? You guys can contact Earth Files, and I'll put the link to her page down below. It's very mysterious, but I also wanted to ask you guys, so you could put it down in the comments. You know, a lot lately we've been talking about these mysterious booms happening around the world, and I have some new reports of those today. We'll get to that in a minute. But we've also had a lot of birds that have been dropping out of the sky all over the world, just lifeless, covering the street. And so, yeah, is this an indicator? I definitely think that animals and their behavior are a great predictor of things that are happening or something that's not right. And I'm sure many of you would agree with that, so tell me what you think down below, and check out Mrs. Howell's website and see if anything rings a bell. Now, in other news, Here is a piece of UFO footage caught from a viewer who was landing on a flight at the JFK airport when she noticed 3 strange lights sitting one next to the other, static in the sky, and it really spooked her. So check this out. Now, the first thought I had was, well, could these be other planes maybe about to land? And Alex stated, quote, "If you notice the helicopters flying in front of the lights, they're way smaller than those lights. Plus, for over a minute, the lights are steady and not moving. I fly quite a lot, and I've never seen lights like this before." And, you know, it's also strange because usually when you see planes waiting to land at a runway, you don't see them all lined up side by side like this in threes. You usually have one with maybe another one far behind, and then, you know, the other one even further behind, not even in the shot yet. But these objects, they all look the same distance, the same brightness. None of them move, none of them turn, and that's what the viewer thought was so eerie. So, big thanks to Alex for posting this. Again, tell me what you guys think down below. Is it just planes, or is there something more to this? Now, in other UFO news, this has been all over the web over the past 24 hours, posted on a lot of mainstream news websites, about a couple of unidentified objects, or what are being called twin UFOs, that were spotted speeding past a helicopter in a piece of French news footage from 2014. And while I haven't been able to find the original version of this piece of news, we do have a video where a local UFO researcher here on YouTube who was analyzing the footage posted a video, and that is what you're seeing here, by a Mr. Jason Gleaves, who runs a channel here on YouTube analyzing various UFO footage. He even has his own book out about UFOs, and I'll put the links to his channel and everything down below and you can check it out. But basically, what you're seeing here was the air-sea rescue helicopter helping a sinking Spanish ship off the coast of France back in 2014. And as you're seeing, there's a point in the footage where we have these twin UFOs or anomalies that pass dangerously close to the helicopter. And as Mr. Gleaves states, quote, "Upon analyzing the footage, the twin objects passed to the rear of the helicopter at a high velocity. And according to him, he does not believe that these were drones or birds." And as you guys are seeing here in the image, they definitely look identical, not to mention reflective. They almost look metallic, like two metallic disc-shaped objects, reflecting sunlight as they quickly pass behind this helicopter. So like I said, I'm trying to find the original footage. If any of you guys can find it, again, this came from 2014 off the coast of France. I'm going to keep looking, and big thanks to Mr. Gleaves for his analysis. You guys check out his channel down below. Now, to these mystery booms that I mentioned earlier, they have continued, with booms happening not only in the United States, but also overseas, this time in Italy and France. So the first one comes out of San Diego, where last Monday, as reported, there was a mysterious rumble that shook homes in the San Diego area, with one eyewitness stating, quote, "My front door started rattling with no discernible wind. I thought maybe we'd had a small earthquake." But of course, there were no earthquakes in the area, and that is according to the U.S. Geological Survey. Another user on Facebook stated, quote, "I felt the rumble in El Cajun. My sliding window and front door were shaking, and I heard around 6 booms. They were very loud, shook my windows, and happened at around 8:30 a.m. Now, as I said, we had similar mystery booms over in France over the past couple of weeks. What was described as a very long and heavy explosion that, again, just like in San Diego, shook walls and windows. So apparently, this happened mainly on the west side of France. And once again, no earthquakes, no discernible source for the sounds and the rumblings. And so, like I've said, this is not just an American thing, this is happening all over the world. Tell me what you guys think. And lastly today, real quick, we have a very interesting set of 2 photographs posted to the local news by a photographer out of Kelowna, Canada, of something that is called a split sunset. And so according to the report here, people were treated to the bizarre sight of a split sunset as the sun ducked behind the distant terrain in Kelowna on Monday night. The photographer, Terry Knox, insisted it wasn't an edit, saying locals were, quote, spellbound by the sight. That sight, of course, being what almost looks like half of the sky being lit by the sun, edited together with another part of the sky without the sun. And it looks very, very strange, and I wonder what is causing this sort of split right down the middle and what could be obscuring the entire left side of this area from the sun. It's definitely, natural or not, it's likely natural, but it's mystifying nonetheless. So really cool set of pictures. Have you guys seen something similar? Really, really cool stuff. So that is all I have for you guys today. I want to thank you all for stopping by, and a big thanks to Tony and Teresa from the United Kingdom who just sent me in this pic after picking up each their own Secureteam hoodies. You guys are looking good. I really appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the channel, and to all of you guys out there who check out our merch and wear it proudly. So stay tuned, follow me on social media, and I will see you all back in just a bit. Stay safe, guys.